I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
This is where the fun begins.
Hello there.
Hello and welcome to Jedi Knights, the official Star Wars podcast for JoyClicks. As always, I'm one of your hosts of this show, Mike Connors, and even though I'm looking more like Chewbacca today, I got my Chewie in the co-pilot seat, the ever-illustrious Christian Buckley. How are you, my man?
I'm doing well, Mike. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm excited to talk about Star Wars, excited to talk about some Bad Batch. We have some interesting news stories to talk about today, some things that maybe we can stretch and talk about. So I'm excited. I'm excited to do that. How are you?
Doing good. It looks like we are moments away from a nice rainstorm, which favorite weather. Nice, cool overcast. Enjoy that. Always gets me in a good mood to podcast. And already in a good mood today because this morning I discovered that I know on Spotify, right, if you're listening to Star Wars music or the soundtracks, as you know, I do that frequently. It will give you, for your little like play button, your progress bar, it shows you Anakin's lightsaber. And you and I were DMing this morning about like something about this episode that I had to fact check, right? And when I went 2 episodes back, it gave us the lightsaber for our episode. So Spotify must know that we're just a really good Star Wars podcast. And then it gave us a lightsaber.
I guess so. I was thinking about like how they knew. I mean, it's probably just through the episode titles.
I imagine,
I don't know.
Like, it was weird because I think it's only on desktop. I don't think it's on phones. But I saw last week's episode. I don't think had one, but the week before it did. So maybe it's like a time thing of just making it register with some sort of algorithm. Maybe I didn't put Star Wars in the title of last week's episode. Who's to say? But it's cool. Spotify, good service.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. I honestly I've seen that. I know that I think it's like YouTube too. Maybe I think no, it's definitely just Spotify. Wait, what?
I think YouTube might do something like Star Warsy with their bar.
Yeah, YouTube definitely does something. But I had seen the Spotify play bar for John Williams music in the past. But it's cool that I guess now we're on the same level as him. So I think we made it, Christian.
Oh, I absolutely think we did. And before we move on from Star Wars and Spotify, I think this is hilarious. I don't think I ever brought it up on the show, but a couple of weeks ago, Spotify did this thing called like Only You, right? Where it was halfway through the year, and because it has all your listening data, it gave you a bunch of stats of things that like are unique to you as a user for Spotify. And I did not share this with the class here, but I think it's very timely. One of the things in this highlight reel for me said, playing Across the Stars love theme from Star Wars Attack of the Clones by John Williams, London Symphony Orchestra at night is pretty much the most you thing ever. That slayed
my
me.
gosh.
That is absolutely true. That is very Christian Buckley, and that was very funny.
Christian, are you like a hopeless romantic? Are you like sitting out, looking out your window at night? I know that you have a girlfriend.
Yes, when Kayla and I eventually figure out either a marriage or elope or whatever, that song will be playing in the background. We will be in Italy somewhere, maybe on that Anakin set where he got married with Padme on that lake. That's exactly the dream.
Yeah, you have like a Roomba next to you as a witness.
Yep.
And yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great. I mean, honestly, episode 2 has great music, man. How can you ever deny like the CIS theme and all that kind of stuff? Like Across the Stars, great stuff.
Duel of the Fates coming back when Anakin's at the speeder on Tatooine with the suns, dude. I want that framed. That's a beautiful shot.
Yeah, dude. I do think that episode 3 probably has the best music of the prequels, though. But episode 2 absolutely has some bangers. That is for sure.
Definitely.
So now we're really in the Star Wars mood. I think that we should move on to the fun game that we do every single time we kick off this podcast. Last week I brought back Fire the Cannon, which is a relic from JoyClick's Jedi Knights past. However, I'm bringing it back to what we normally do, which is from the Jedi archives. This is a segment where Christian and I go on Wikipedia, which is the Star Wars wiki. We choose a piece of Star Wars lore, whether that be canon, legends, what have you, and we bring it to Joyclicks Jedi Knights to share with each other and educate each other on some random piece of Star Wars lore. I think it's always a fun time to kind of like learn about the nitty gritty of this big universe that we both love. So, Christian, what'd you bring today to the table?
Forgive me if I mispronounce this, but
Okay.
Doba.
Doba.
Doba, Dobah.
Okay.
Doba was a female Phlog, Phlog, who lived on the forest moon of Endor. She was the mate of Zoot and the mother of Hum and Naki. And this, Mike, this appeared in Ewoks, the animated series. The title, Rampage of the Phlogs, is the first appearance of Doba, voiced by Diane Pauley.
Well, Christian, you said Doba, you spelled it for me, so of course I put it in the Google search and I clicked on Wikipedia, and my eyes were laid on the disturbing art of the Ewoks show that we were discussing pre-pod, and immediately my heart sank into nothing. These are creepy too. The Ewok show, for those who may not know, Christian and I, we don't like the way that the art is. We think it looks really creepy. Is that fair to say, Christian?
I think haunting is a fair word.
Haunting, disturbing, tragic, all these words, I think.
It's like, you look at it and it's like a lower budget Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 80s, right? Like, that's the vibe I get.
Totally. But there's like this weird, like, disturbing quality about it that it's hard to like put your finger on. It sort of looks like something that you would wake up. It's like 2003, and you woke up like on your couch at like 2 a.m. and this was playing, and you didn't know what it was or something.
Yeah,
that's sort of like, like creepy vibes.
It's like you wake up and you're like, is this sleep paralysis, or is this like the Adult Swim time? What is this?
Exactly. Maybe 2003 was a little bit too early. I don't know. You know what I mean, though. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Ripe 6 years old at 2003, waking up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, never mind. A little too early. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about. It's that kind of vibe. Well, I didn't know Phlogs were a species in the Star Wars universe, so that's good to know. They look real creepy. I always thought the Force Moon of Endor was only for Ewoks, but I guess not.
Yeah.
Well, Christian, I also chose something interesting. This is something from the canon. Now, the title of the page is Killer. That's what the title is. Killer was a clone trooper pilot who served with Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi's fleet during the Clone Wars. He was one of several pilots who used to clone Z-95 Starfighter, where General Grievous led a separatist assault on the Rebel fleet. He was shot down and killed during the battle. I thought it was interesting. A lot of these clones, man, they never really get their time in the spotlight. A lot of them are just expendable. They kind of just die. So I wanted to give a shout out to Killer. He was in Star Wars The Clone Wars Bound for Rescue, and that was his only appearance. So R.I.P. Killer.
I have to ask, just because sometimes the clones do stuff like this, is his name spelt with like an 11 for the L's, like a 1-1?
No. Regular spelling of Killer. So.
Okay. Well, that does seem like a very clone thing, though, right?
It definitely does, yeah. I mean, he does have a very interesting, helmet markings. He's got like these red helmet markings, and they look pretty cool. Though I do think it's funny that his name was Killer, but the first time that we meet him in Star Wars, he was killed. So, R.I.P. to this hero of the Republic, I guess.
Big F.
Big F. Well, Christian, I always love that segment. It's always fun to sort of like just get some interesting perspective on weird corners of the galaxy.
Hell yeah.
Far, far away that we never really talk about.
Very nice.
So, moving on to the first piece of news here. This is something that we basically missed by a few days from last week's episode. The Book of Boba Fett, the long-anticipated TV show starring Tamora Morrison as the titular character, has finished filming. So Tamora Morrison was talking to SFX magazine. He said that the series is done filming. He had a few remarks about how difficult it was to film the show because of COVID-19. But this is just good news, I think. We know that they were filming the show. We are kind of speculating that The Mandalorian may not hit its Mandalorian season 3 may not hit its Christmas release date. But it's good to see that it's looking increasingly likely that at least we're going to get the Book of Boba Fett this year.
Yeah. I'm reading through the information, the quotes that he shared that you wrote down in the doc, Mike, and I think it's very interesting because I don't want to jump ahead or anything, but he's talking about how like every 20 minutes they had to air at the studio. So I don't remember hearing something like that surrounding Andor or Kenobi, which is interesting because I think those are like they're on a soundstage, right? It's not like the warehouse room that Stagecraft does for Mando and Boba Fett. So that's interesting, and I also wonder if that's a hurdle for The Mandalorian season 3 because unless I'm misremembering, I think when we got sent home last year, I think Mando season 2 was like wrapping shooting when everything went to hell. So they were able to like edit at home. And Mando, I think like maybe even they finished a couple weeks before that because I remember Jon Favreau being like, hey, Mando's not going to get delayed. Like we had it all set up. We can edit from home. We're good. So yeah, I think that might just be another factor reading between the lines here of just seeing how much of a hurdle it seems like to shoot this show, which was made easier for the previous 2 Mandalorian seasons with Stagecraft is now sort of a hindrance since it is much more confined than a standard set like Andor or Kenobi.
That's a really interesting point, honestly. It definitely makes you think that when they start to film The Mandalorian season 3, which it's pretty much confirmed that they haven't at this point, they haven't even started, but they're going to also have to do these requirements, these health and safety requirements. I feel like the Book of Boba Fett did spend a long time in like production in terms of like photography and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that we've been talking about it for a while, so maybe that makes sense that like it took them a longer time just because of all of the pandemic requirements that they had to follow. And you're right, like it does seem like Andor at least, and even Kenobi to some extent, are being filmed like outside, like which makes it like it easier, I guess, when you're trying to stop COVID-19 from swimming around through your production staff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's June. They finished filming this. They got 6 months until December. I think that they could pull it off for this year. The Book of Boba Fett, at least.
For sure. I'm fully expecting Book of Boba Fett to hit this year. I think that's a given right now. And I'll just add one more thing on there in terms of, trying to read into this maybe in an interesting way about Mando. Book of Boba Fett also, as far as we know, based on the rumors, I don't think Investors Day said this, but it's a limited series, so it's not going to have many episodes. Like, if they roll out with 4 episodes, that's a limited series, So, potentially, it's like a half amount of episodes that we would see in something like a Mandalorian. So, maybe that's also a factor of just like seeing how expanded production was for this show. That is a limited series versus a typical Disney Plus full-blown series like Mando or a WandaVision, like hitting 8 episodes. I'm definitely... I mean, I forget what percentages were last time we talked about this, but I'm definitely like 20-80 on Mando hitting this year 1 episode versus not, I think.
I think like the more, like honestly, with every week that passes, and with every week that passes that we don't hear something definitive about The Mandalorian season 3, like the less like the less sure I am that we're going to get something this year. Honestly, like, it's the end of June. It's almost July. They haven't even, as far as we know, like, they haven't even started filming season 3. Like, I just don't see from a production standpoint how you even get that done in 5 months and, like, have it be good, you know? Like, you still have to film the damn thing. Like, for the Book of Boba Fett, I feel like, you know, we started talking about them filming in, like, February or something. It's June. Like, that takes a long time, you know? So I really don't think we're going to see The Mandalorian season 3 unless they have been filming and we just don't know it. But like going off the other news that we have, what Pedro Pascal said himself, it doesn't seem like they've started filming. Your 2080 that we're gonna, you know, you're hoping that we're gonna see something this year. I hope so too. I just really don't think it's likely.
Yeah.
I think there's like a 96% chance that we're not gonna see anything
Yeah. And
regarding the Mandalorian this year.
I'll say the reason it's at 20 right now is because I do think they could do a surprise. Like, here's a 70-minute special solo thing. Don't expect episode 2 to follow up this. This is a standalone story that bridges a gap. I think if we get anything, it will be on that level that is based off of nothing other than pure hopes and dreams. But it seems like something that could realistically be a thing. So that's why I'm putting stock into that in my own gut.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you're right, Christian. I really do.
And
I think maybe more likely we're going to see the Mandalorian as a character in the Book of Boba Fett.
Sure.
Possibly. I don't know.
And
yeah.
I like, if not, I would love if one of the Boba Fett episodes got into theaters, because I just want to see one goddamn Mandalorian helmet on a movie theater screen, Mike. That's just it. I need one. 20 minutes, I don't care. Fine.
Hey, you gotta blame the coronavirus, man, because you were very close to seeing that.
I know.
If that never happened, and we had Mandalorian season 2 in regular times, that would have been an IMAX feature, bro.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Well, I'm excited to see the Book of Boba Fett, which I am pretty sure will happen this year. I'm really hoping Christian's right that we're going to see something from Mandalorian this year as well. So fingers crossed. Yeah, just stay optimistic, I guess. So the next piece of news, this is something that you sent me, Christian, and something that I'm very excited about. We are going to get our first look at Star Wars Visions, the anime Star Wars project, this July. So it's going to be at Anime Expo, and basically there's going to be a panel on July 3rd at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 30 minutes, a Star Wars Visions sneak preview. It's going to be 10 episodes sometime later this year. Nice. If I'm correct, it's basically Lucasfilm is hiring a lot of these anime studios to create their own interpretation of 10,000 years of Star Wars galaxy history. So I'm excited to see what we're gonna. I just don't know what to expect from this. Like, what do you think? What do you think we're gonna get out of this this panel, Christian?
I bet we'll have this 10 episodes. I bet we'll have 3 concept trailers for 3 of the episodes. And I bet we'll get an announcement, if it's not already out there, an announcement of the anime studios that are working on the show.
Next.
I am incredibly excited for this as somebody who does enjoy like Dragon Ball, Cowboy Bebop. I like the generic, mainstream animes and a couple smaller ones, but I think it's a great project. Like Star Wars, obviously, I think translates well to many mediums, and anime is one that hasn't officially been done. You've seen tons of fan projects do stuff like that, but yeah, man, I'm excited to see the talent on this. I know Studio Ghibli, they've worked with Disney in the past, so I'm hoping that's on the list. That would be incredible. They do like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, stuff like that. Like the really popular, beloved anime films that have permeated.
I feel like they got to be part of this for sure.
I'd hope, like, and I do also hope that because it's a single studio making a single episode, they're not just like all 20 minutes. I do hope we hit like 40 minutes, like maybe just kind of a short film sort of vibe for some of them. But it's a project I'm incredibly excited for, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's in store on July 3rd.
Oh yeah. I think your idea of getting sort of like trailers for some of the episodes in particular, that seems interesting. Um, yeah, like I guess what are you expecting? So it's supposed to be 10 episodes. Do you think that they're all going to be like less than 30 minutes, or do you think some of the studios will have interpretations that sort of, I don't know, transcend that 30-minute time period and just sort of maybe go into a 40 or 50-minute short film territory? What are you expecting?
So I'm looking right now on fandom.com. No, this is Wikipedia, sorry. The official description says the Anthropology Collection will bring 10 fantastic visions in a series of animated short films from the world's best anime creators. So, I mean, that's pretty clear, I think. Short films, I think when you think of it as an audience member, usually means lengthy. Going off of like Academy Award category short films, animated short films, those can be like Pixar shorts, like 4 minutes long. Those can be like 20 minutes,
Yeah.
15. So I'm trying not to have set expectations for a runtime. I just want to see some breathtaking art, because I feel like Star Wars has, for the most part, maintained a very consistent look. To its credit, because that's Lucasfilm's thing, right? Like, they have people who try to make it all look consistent, but stuff like Tartakovsky's Clone Wars is so different that it's very refreshing, and I think still holds up, and it looks so distinct and iconic. So I would love if we got more of those, just in a variety of different approaches. So I'm expecting all 10 to look distinct.
For sure, for sure. I think you make a good point. Not to focus too much on like how long these will be, just focus on the artistic value of them. I think that's a really good point. From the way that Disney and Lucasfilm have described Star Wars vision, they said that they're going to basically be stories from any time, basically within the Star Wars history. So 10,000 years, all of it. Is there anything you'd like to see some of these, you know, studios tackle in terms of Star Wars histories, time periods, maybe?
Sure. I mean, I've said it a million times. My dream story right now is Boba Fett hunting down Mace Windu for revenge. I think that could be very cool in an anime style. But like separating from the super familiar, ooh, a Han Solo one would be cool too. Anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the natural pull is the Old Republic, right? Because we haven't seen much of that yet, and with an anime style being very, very flashy, of course you can do stuff with blasters and all that, but I think if you want to go grand scale, Sith army stuff could be cool to animate in this medium. So I could see, presuming this is all canon, because they're working with Lucasfilm over the 10,000 year timeline, right? I could see this be a way to canonize some Old Republic stuff that we haven't gotten updated versions of, right? Like, maybe we get a Darth Bane story, or we get a Darth Revan appearance or something. I think this has potential. I would be incredibly shocked if a single episode is not dedicated to the Old Republic. I don't know if you feel differently.
I would also be shocked. I think that that's maybe something that we should expect from this, but I hate to say that we should expect anything.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. I'd be very happy. I'd be very happy if that was something that they decided to do. Do you think that they would go into the realm of like the world between worlds? I was thinking it might be interesting to sort of like have a story about like the early Jedi and like the early like connections like to the Force and stuff like that. I feel like that would be interesting to sort of look through, like from the perspective and through like the lens of like anime art.
Yeah, you're making an episode about that tree, right?
Basically, yeah, you could, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or like the sister and the brother. I don't know. That would be cool, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and very, I feel like an animated studio can put a very interesting like anime twist on that.
For sure, absolutely. I I'm curious when they say 10,000 year timeline, right? Is that like where's the Skywalker saga in relation to that? Like is episode 9 the end of that 10,000 years or do we have
True.
some room beyond there, right? Like that is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently because I remember you and I when we were talking about the Ryan Johnson trilogy, like probably like 20 episodes ago, we talked about what is we know a long time ago what that looks like in Star Wars. What does today look like? What does the future look like in Star Wars? Which I think is a very interesting concept, but I could see a world where the hard cap for the end of this 10,000 year timeline from Lucasfilm for this project is episode 9. So I guess with that in mind, do you see us getting a story about like Kylo Ren or Rey or like Luke's academy? Like, could you see something like that maybe?
Hey, I do honestly. I kind of expect something here's me saying that I expect something like that, but it's just like Disney created that intellectual property, like that story themselves. It would be strange if they didn't want I don't know. It would be strange if they didn't like maybe direct one of these studios to be like, hey, like you can make whatever like story you want, but just like include these characters and have it be like in this time. That seems like a very reasonable thing for Disney and Lucasfilm to be like asking of some of these studios. Um, but like, yeah, it just seems like from a marketing standpoint, like Disney would want to like call attention to like their own work for the Star Wars universe and like maybe try to like rehabilitate their own view within the Star Wars fandom by like creating something and putting something out like this that's like different and cool. That might be part of it. Also, we may not get anything like that at all. We may get something like that takes place like 100 years after Episode 9, which would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, like you said, we just don't know what this 10,000 years even is, where it starts and where it begins, or if that even is um, like a hard, like 10,000 years. Maybe Disney like doesn't really care and just kind of wants these anime studios to create their own thing, and there's not a lot of direction from
Yeah,
their end at all. We just don't know.
I think outside of the visual aspect, my largest hope for this project is we get more new characters, new ideas than familiar ones.
Me too.
And because like the benefit of that is you get these independent creators who work in a very different style of animation that we've seen in Star Wars and different ways to tell stories, right? I I would love if this project is truly just blank check for creativity, and blank check meaning more of like, hey, in terms of story, characters, lore, whatever you want, truly, because that means if say Ghibli does do one of these, right, and they create this new original character in a time period tangential to the Skywalker saga, but it's massive.
Yeah.
Like, you can make another one. Like, I think there's opportunity to introduce new eras to Star Wars that go beyond just like, wouldn't it be cool to see Kylo Ren in an anime format? Like,
That's the thing that we just don't know yet.
yeah,
Like how much control Disney Lucasfilm has over this, right? Are they recruiting these anime studios and being like, all right, cool, like thank you for wanting to work with us. Like we want you to create a story that takes place within, our trilogy and includes like at least Rey, Finn, Poe, and Kylo Ren. Like, you know what I mean? Um, or they're on the other hand, they could just be like, "Hey, like thanks for wanting to work with us. Like we trust you to create something interesting. Like go for it." And have that full artistic expression and vision available to them. So I hope it's that. I hope it's the latter. I'd have to agree with you, Christian, just because I want to see different takes on Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it also wouldn't surprise me if Disney took the route of like wanting to amp up their own stuff.
Yeah, I'm expecting both. I don't know what
Yeah.
the ratio is going to be, but I am expecting both. And even though I'm saying I would like them all to be original, if we get to see like a side story between 8 and 9 about like Rey doing some cool anime Jedi stuff, I'd still be really into that. So I'm just excited for this
Yeah,
project, man. I
same.
want to see it.
Me too. And you know what? We're going to be able to see a little bit of it on July 3rd at 3 p.m. Pacific for 30 minutes. So I'll be tuning in. I don't know where you can watch this or even if it's available to the public. I think it is. But um, yeah, I'm hyped. So bring it on.
Hell yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that, Christian?
No, I don't think so. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to watch all of them and talk about all of them. 10 episodes hitting this year is very exciting. So,
Yes.
if we get 10 really cool anime Star Wars films instead of a season of Mandalorian, I think I'll be able to sleep okay. You know, like I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
No, honestly, that the bad. We got the Bad Batch, the Book of Boba Fett, and Star Wars Visions. I think that's a good year.
for sure.
Anyways, so moving on. I wanted to just like this is a quick hit. I just wanted to say that I saw this. I thought this was pretty cool. So the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is like the stars in Hollywood with like different actors, actresses, producers, directors, names on them. Uh, so I guess they've released their class of 2022, the names of the people who will be honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, including Carrie Fisher, the late Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, Ewan McGregor, of course, the man Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ming-Na Wen, who is currently playing Fennec Shand in The Bad Batch and Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. But also was the voice of Mulan, has a very illustrious career. Great stuff. Love her. I thought this was cool that they're all getting their own stars. I think it's all well deserved too. I just wanted to shout that out. Carrie Fisher, R.I.P. So
R.I.P. Yeah, that's nice. Overdue. I honestly, maybe the Carrie Fisher one was announced a while ago, but I thought she got one already. So that's wild that it's taken this long.
yeah, honestly, I thought she had one already as well, but I guess not. She definitely deserves one.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Um, Ewan McGregor and Ming-Na Wen, all three of them definitely deserve it. So props.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, moving on from that, this is some juicy stuff. Christian and I know Christian and I are both into Solo, a Star Wars story, and are anxiously waiting for Solo 2. Hashtag make Solo 2 happen.
Makes all two happen.
But Amelia Clark, yes, Amelia Clark, who played Kira in Solo, a Star Wars story, was talking to the Hollywood Reporter recently, and she said that she had, quote, pages about what her life was and what it would be after the events of Solo. She said that Kira, as a character, has the most unfinished business from the movie, quote, but I'm afraid I've heard nothing of Disney Plus being the case. So maybe I'll just write it and send it to them. I'll be like, hey guys, I got a few ideas. So she hasn't heard from Disney about her own Kira show or being involved in anything, which is sad because I think she's right. I think she has one of the most unfinished sort of like story arcs from Solo, and it sort of leaves us all on a cliffhanger, and we haven't. I don't know if we're gonna ever really see what happens after that.
Yeah, that's upsetting. I mean, maybe there is something. Obviously, like she's not going to be one to confirm it in an interview, but I mean, I know she's working with Disney again. She's going to be filming Secret Invasion for Marvel later this year, and she's very excited about that. I've been reading some interviews with her, in terms of just that and reading up on the comics. So like, she seems to be a big fan of all this stuff. So I think I fully believe her that she wants to go back to Star Wars and like explore Kira, because Kira, I thought was a really interesting character, and clearly they had plans for her, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it could always get told in the comic, but I'd much rather Solo 2 on Disney Plus, Solo the series on Disney Plus, anything, really, truly. Like, there's so much potential.
Yeah, she did. She did mention in the interview about the Lando limited series that's been announced. She said that she's heard nothing about it. That's what she claims. Of course, Chris, you make a good point. Just because she says Disney hasn't approached her doesn't mean that she's secretly in talks with them.
Mm-hmm.
Very well could be. But she said, quote, but a Lando show makes so much sense. Give that man his own show. Yes. Agreed, Amelia. But I think you would have a great fit in that show too, depending on when that show takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Kira could be in Lando, Christian?
I think it's possible. I know we talked a bit about the Lando show potentially based off that rumor being Billy D. Williams narrating different eras of his life. So, like, maybe not, but maybe an episode if that's the case. But, you know, when it comes to Kira, I think Kira, where we left off with her, I feel like if we saw Kira again and it was just a one appearance in an episode of a Lando anthology show, like, that would be very disappointing. Because we teed up of her, like, working with Maul to do this crime empire and potentially overthrow some stuff. So, like, yeah, I'd personally be disappointed if Kira showed up in the Lando show and it was not in a significant way.
Yeah.
So.
That's why we need Solo 2. We need to make Solo 2 happen so we can flesh this all out. Bring back Alden Ehrenreich and really get this thing going.
Exactly.
I'm wondering, like, what her ideas about, like, Kira are. I'm happy to know that, like, she really loves the character and all that kind of stuff and has been thinking about her ever since she filmed Solo. I don't know. Like, she definitely is an interesting character, and I'd love to know what Amelia Clark has in terms of ideas for Kira.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe she overthrows them all and just is a comfortable Outer Rim crime lord through the entire original trilogy, you know, and Han just thinks she's dead or something. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
She's Amelia Clark is great. I'd love to see her return to Star Wars and, like, honestly, even a Kira show. Do a show about a villain. Maybe anti-hero villain.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, Boba Fett's getting a show. Kira can get a show. This no problem.
Yeah, I think Kira's definitely like an anti-hero. I don't think she's all bad, nor do I think she's all good. You know what I didn't know is that her story recently has been picked up in War of the Bounty Hunters, which is a comic run by Marvel right now. It's a crossover event set between 1980s and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And Amelia Clark was pretty happy when she heard about this. She said, "It means so much. It means the absolute world. I know her backstory and I know her history." So, like, she's so hyped about the character. Like, she's hyped. Let's bring it back. Like, who wouldn't want to be in Star Wars anymore? And also there's a hunger out there for Solo 2. So # make Solo 2 happen. God damn it.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, what? Because the thing is, the reason Solo flopped is because they released it like 2 weeks after Infinity War, a week before Deadpool 2, and it was within 6 months of The Last Jedi. Like, that is the reason that movie bombed. Like, in Star Wars standards. Like, it still made money, but, like, it's a good movie. It's a good, fun, 8 out of 10 movie. Like, it's so upsetting that movie, it was pushed out there like Titanfall 2, man. It was, like, thrown in between all this other stuff that was way more hyped up and got buried. You know, like, maybe this Lando show is Titanfall 2's Apex Legends, and then we'll eventually maybe get a Solo 2. I don't know, man, but, like,
that's a great comparison, honestly. Solo, a Star Wars story, is the Titanfall 2 of Star Wars.
It is. I'm
They
tweeting now.
really buried it. It was, yeah, you really should. That's a great comparison. But it's just like so true. Like they really buried it. And that's like basically the only reason why it did so bad, because like it was a good movie. Like we've talked about it since. I think we've watched it since, or
We
something
have.
like that. And yeah, it's still a good movie. We gotta make Solo 2 happen. I'm down for it to be like its own limited, Disney Plus series or something. But they gotta they gotta cash in, because there's some cash to be made there. All right,
Yeah.
they're doing
Like,
it with Andor. Do it with freaking Solo.
how do we make this happen? Do we have to like start a thing of like, hey, everybody stream Solo on this day, so like Disney Plus numbers are high? Is that it? Is that what we have to do?
I think we might have to do that.
Okay.
I know that like there is a pretty popular hashtag Make Solo 2 happen, and there is like a Make Solo 2 happen day, which I think is sometime in May. But
Okay.
like, I think we need to. I think you're right. I think we need to like make a. We need to build a movement.
Yeah. I'll work on a TikTok.
Yes, you should.
Okay.
At ChumDB too.
Yes. We'll make it happen.
All right. So moving on to the next piece of news. This is the last piece of news for today. I saw this interesting article. So the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland. I'm not familiar with her work, but she's the showrunner behind the Acolyte, which is the TV show announced by Disney Lucasfilm. It's going to take place near the end of the High Republic, I think, and it's going to explore the dark side of the Force, like in a gritty sort of like mystery way. So the showrunner Leslie Headland spoke to the AV Club, talking about what it's like to do Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. She said, she was talking about how there is a part of the Star Wars fandom that is very toxic, and she says, quote, "So to me, seeing a fandom as passionate as Star Wars, it's certainly intimidating, but it's also understandable because it's a great work of art. And to be part of it is, yeah, it's daunting, but it's also something that if I didn't feel passionate about my love for it, then possibly it would be something that was too frustrating or scary. But because I feel so passionate about it, I know that my love of it is rooted in a strong point of view." So, I mean, like, I wasn't really nervous about her, running the show to begin with, but it is nice to see that she does have a genuine love for the franchise. And usually, when people have that, they want to take it, protect it, and keep it sort of like, not ruin it in a way that sort of, doesn't respect like the themes and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to see that she's hyped to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not familiar with her work either. I know she did Russian Doll on Netflix, which was pretty celebrated when that released. But yeah, it's great hearing her perspective on it. It's definitely hard out here for many women and minorities in creative positions in Star Wars because of this fandom. So it's nice hearing that she feels she can tough it out, I guess. But yeah, what's interesting to me, Mike, is I saw another story about her work for this new show, and I think we're gonna be in an interesting spot, right? Because I think similar to The Last Jedi being sort of in line with what George Lucas envisioned for Luke's character, let's say, just boiling it down to just that.
Yeah.
And then being so incredibly divisive for a laundry list of things that were... Some people have valid criticisms of that movie. Some people have real reasons they don't like it. And a lot of it is just like, it wasn't what I wanted. I saw an interview with her talking about her approach for Acolyte, and she's saying that she wants to make it rooted in politics the way that George Lucas approached the prequel trilogy, which on a like in-world and meta-textual way is really interesting going back to it, because we always know Lucas is like, oh yeah, the prequels, Anakin and Palpatine are Bush and Cheney. There's all that behind it. But also, in world, like the Clone Wars, the CIS, the Republic, all that interwoven politics is really fun to track, you know, seeing Palpatine be pulling the strings behind it. And Acolyte being closer to the Skywalker saga, dealing with the dark side, going for prequel politics. I think we might actually, like we were speculating, be getting a Young Sheev show out of this, maybe.
I mean, hey man, that would be very interesting. I think I said on the last episode of Jedi Knights that I for one am a huge fan of the prequel politics. Let's face it, Star Wars is at its core political. It always has been.
Yes.
You know, you look at the original trilogy. That's a commentary on the Vietnam War. You know, that's a commentary on communism and anti-communism.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you look at the prequels, and that's also a commentary on, you know, our contemporary political life, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And a lot of people gave George Lucas flack back, you know, when the prequels came out, because because they thought he went a little bit too in the weeds with it. But in retrospect, we can see that he actually, you know, set the foundation for a really interesting political thriller that basically is the prequels, honestly. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it just makes me really happy to know that, you know, there is still a fervor for that sort of like political intrigue in Star Wars. I've said this before, like some of my favorite Star Wars books are the ones that are about politics, like Bloodline, or Queen Shadow. So, you know, I'm just hyped that that's sort of the direction that they want to go with it.
Yeah.
Because I do think the political, like, you know, Star Wars and politics go very well together. And I really enjoy, you know, hearing about this fictional world because I think it's so well fleshed out.
Yeah. And
that's where I come from.
I did find her direct quote about it. I believe she was being interviewed by The Direct. She said, quote, I mean, it's funny because a lot of the feedback that I'll get, and I'll use the term feedback very lightly, but when I do go on social media, the feedback is, don't make Star Wars political. I'm like, George Lucas made it political. Those are political films. Yeah. War is by nature political. That's just what's up. It's truly what he was interested in talking about and looking at and digging into. So it's kind of impossible to tell a story within his universe that doesn't have that doesn't have to do with something that has to be that the characters see externally reflected in whatever's happening in the galaxy at that particular time period of when it takes place. You know, that's another thing that we all kind of inherited from him as well. And we hope to keep reflecting in the work, hopefully. So.
Thank God she said that. Honestly, the people who say like, "Oh, Star Wars shouldn't be political," are just idiots.
Yeah, like
honestly, it always has been.
Yeah, isn't there a quote of like Lucas from the 70s or 80s saying like the rebels are the Viet Cong? Like that exists. That's out there. Like Star Wars, the original trilogy is very much anti-American interference in wars. Like that is the point of those movies.
Like literally, it's literally commentary on America's involvement in the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
and like you said previously, like the prequels are literally commentary on like Bush and Cheney and the destruction of American democracy.
Yes.
So you know, yeah, it's always been that way.
Get hyped.
Anyways, get hyped. I love the politics. I love the intrigue. You know, I've always liked that kind of stuff. So maybe it's just me. You know, I'm a big time fan of all those political dramas on TV. You know, love The West Wing. Gotta. So let's get it. Let's get some I would love to see a Star Wars West Wing. I don't think that's what Acolyte.
That's the Palpatine show.
Yeah. Could be. With a little bit more combat, lightsaber fighting.
Yes.
Anyways, I think that's really all we had for news. We had a lot of really great discussions, Christian, about some interesting, you know, future paths, potential future paths of Star Wars. So, I'm excited to see what lies ahead. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm. So, moving on to the review for today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Bad Batch episode 8, season 1, episode 8, and I believe that this episode is called Reunion. So we're about halfway through the season. This is the halfway point. Usually, Dave Filoni likes to, he seems to like to ramp things up near the halfway point. And I'd say that this was probably this was a ramp up for sure. If we're talking about the Joyclicks Jedi Knights Crosshair watch, I think we went 5 episodes without seeing him, something like that,
That's
because
wild.
that streak was broken on this episode. So, yeah, I guess just why don't we start off with you, Christian? Just like general thoughts on the episode. It was about 30 minutes long, regular runtime.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. It was definitely nice to see. It was very much a conflict episode. Like, there wasn't much story going down, but it was sort of the episode we all thought was coming for a while, of just like, Crosshair's going to find them and they're going to have a problem, and then it's going to set up the next leg of the mission. And that's exactly what we got, right? Like, Crosshair shows up. He doesn't fully complete his objective, but that doesn't matter because Cad Bane shows up, which we'll get to. But the Bad Batch have a new objective. They gotta rescue Omega, which again we kind of predicted. But in terms of the actual episode, moment to moment stuff, I thought it was very cool. It was great setting on Braca. Like, it was cool seeing Braca last episode and seeing it be the full setting of this episode was fun. Good action, good suspense. Yeah, it was solid. It was good, and I'm glad we got to see Crosshair again, because that character and that arc is very important to the crew, and it's sort of felt like it's been brushed aside for all the Omega training, which is fine, but I'm glad we got it addressed again. So, what about you? How do you feel?
I'd have to agree with that for sure. I think, the series is starting to finally ramp up. I think it's sort of found its footing. I sort of see the direction where they want to go with it. Like you said, it's kind of predictable. It's something that we had talked about, something we had predicted may have happened. The end of this episode, I can see where they're going with the show. Let's just put it that way. Agreed. It's very cool to see Braca. Definitely one of my favorite planets in Star Wars canon. I just think it's the most unique, or one of the more unique ones for sure. Interesting that Cad Bane came back, and yeah, I mean, I thought that it was very very Star Warsy. There was a lot of action in this, but also some good plot development too. So why don't we get into it just a little bit? Like we said, Bad Batch are still on Braca, minus Crosshair. They, were just left by clone Captain Rex. All of them have their inhibitor chips taken out, except for Crosshair. And basically, they get caught on Braca by Crosshair and the Kaminoans and the Empire, and have to sort of fight their way out of a Venator, which I thought was a very cool set piece. I don't know what you thought, Christian. I don't know. I thought it was very cool that they found their way to escape the Venator, through the ion engine. That was just very cool. I love the Venators. Maybe that's just why.
No, yeah, it's a lot of also what I really loved about one of the things I really loved about Rise of Skywalker, seeing the Death Star, these pristine hallways we're normally used to seeing just ruined and slanted and all messed up, but just getting a new sense of progression and how nothing matters anymore from the old world in this time of Star Wars, right? It's a cool visual means to tell that, and now I didn't even think of this until now, but very similar to what we saw Ahsoka and Rex do at the end of season 7, right? Getting off their Venator, being attacked by clones. Sort of similar here, but yeah, it was a cool set piece. It was a cool escape. I did like how they left through the ion engine also. Their strategy to break it apart so they would fall was neat. And we'll get to this later, but I'm suspicious about Crosshair again. So
Yeah, well, I mean, so part of their escape was to like, well, basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a bunch of weapons from the senator so they can pay back Sid, who's on, I forget where Sid is, but from previous episodes to sort of like get some money.
Mm-hmm.
And so as they're trying to escape the Venator, uh, they basically like turn on the ion engine to like their enemies out of the way, but so they don't die, have to like blow it up in half so they can escape properly. But Crosshair gets like caught in the crosshair, pun intended,
Mm-hmm.
and gets like burned pretty badly, it seems, by the ion energy blast.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Is it going to turn into like Darth Vader or something like that?
there were two things that stood out to me. One, the blast knocks him back, and he is grabbing his head. And every time a clone grabs their head, I'm suspicious.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, he hits the wall when he's like pushing himself back up before he gets burnt. He's like rubbing his head. Suspiciously, I think it's the right side too, like where all the chips were. But the other thing was when we see him again and he has like a ventilator and he's bandaged up. I was like, is Crosshair gonna turn into Dengar? Because he looks like Dengar.
Oh, yeah. That's Dengar's backstory now. I mean, he had like the mask on and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna turn into Darth Vader.
Yeah. So.
Which is definitely not what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Crosshair gets pretty screwed up. Most of the Bad Batch are able to escape, but Hunter and Omega sort of get like separated from the rest of the Bad Batch and try to like find their own way out of the Venator. But they get sort of caught by a bounty hunter that we have not seen since the Clone Wars, Cad Bane. So I guess the Kaminoans, thinking that Crosshair was going to try to kill Omega, hired Cad Bane to get Omega so he can bring him back to the Kaminoans for whatever contingency plan they've been talking about earlier on in the season. So that was interesting to see Cad Bane show up again. He has like a standoff with Hunter, which I thought was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter gets absolutely blasted to shreds.
Yeah.
So that sucks. But he still survives, so big time plot armor.
Yes, of course. I honestly, full transparency, I know we didn't watch every episode of Clone Wars. I thought Cad Bane was dead. I truly thought that dude was dead.
Yeah, I didn't know what was up with him. I kind of just thought he died too, to be honest.
So that was a bit of a surprise to me, but yeah, it was a cool standoff. It was nice seeing him pop up as a cool cameo. I heard this episode was gonna have a cameo, and I was hoping that because we were on Braca this week, I was like, are we gonna see young Cal in the background? Which like we see his poncho, like the scrappers all got that Cal Kestis poncho fit going. So not this show. Eventually, we'll eventually get Cal on a show, I'm sure, but not yet.
I hope so. I'd love to see Cal Kestis in the show.
Hell yeah.
But I think it's too soon from Order 66. You'd be like, really?
Yeah.
That would still be cool though.
Mm-hmm.
So Cad Bane and Hunter have like a standoff, and Cad Bane wins, of course, because he's better at he's Cad Bane. And he takes Omega. That's the end of the episode. So basically, this is The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 5, and we're going to have to go save Omega.
Like, I know. I've been aware, we've all been aware, that since Episode 1, when we saw Omega for the first time, right? Like, we've been new that this is following the Mando format. I don't mind. At this point, I don't think it's been overplayed yet. I think it's okay. It's still my favorite era. Like, I love Mando, but seeing the Clone Wars, seeing the clones, it's my favorite era of Star Wars, and I love this animation style. So like, if we're following that arc with a cast of characters who I truly really love, like I love the Bad Batch. I'm cool with it. We got eight episodes left. I wonder how many episodes it's gonna take to rescue Omega. Is that the season finale? I don't know. That seems like a far away destination, but maybe that is it.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't rescue her, but in the episodes between, we get the beginning of the Omega clone army, like the Omega Clone Wars. Maybe that's what we're building up to, Mike. Like, I don't know. I think there could still be some cool stuff in the back half of the season, and I'm excited. I think next week is going to be a killer episode again. Because I'd say this is killer compared to what we've seen so far recently.
Definitely. I definitely agree with you on that. Like I said, I think the Bad Batch is sort of on the upswing. They've sort of found their footing. I do think it's a little funny that they're doing the whole, like, you know, kid was kidnapped, we got to go get him again. But you know what? They're leaning into it, so I'm just going to let it happen. I like it. You know, it's believable enough. I like Omega and I like the Bad Batch a lot, so I'm here for it. I really like this episode. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And yeah, like I said, I just think the show's kind of on an upswing, which is great.
Yeah, I agree. I think hopefully we keep the momentum next week. I'm curious if we pick up on Kamino, if we pick up with Omega, because like Admiral Rampart is like against this clone army, right? So like, are the Kaminoans going to be keeping Omega a secret? Or like, I'm assuming since they went behind the Empire's back and hired Cad Bane. So like, I wonder next week, is she the focus? Is Crosshair the focus? Is it a Kamino episode with a bit of the Bad Batch finding footing of what to do next, what their next step is? Maybe they got to go find Rex again or something. I don't know.
I hope it's more Kamino focused. I do think that the Kaminoans are going to keep Omega a secret until like they don't have to anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what their plans are for her, but yeah, hopefully we get a little bit of the Bad Batch, just like you said, finding footing. But I hope it's more about Crosshair and the Kaminoans and the Empire and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm hoping. I think we're due for some updates on that front. So
yeah, I agree, but I'm with you. I liked this episode, so hopeful for next week.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's really all I have to say about this episode, Christian. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say.
No, yeah, I think that's about it for me too. It was good overall. I am going on headache watch still, and I did notice that Wrecker was also rubbing his head again after he fell off that Braca speeder, so we'll see what happens.
Well,
I know it's good, but
it's a recent wound, you know. He's still recovering from surgery.
Yeah, it's just every time I see that now, man, I'm just a little suspicious. You never know.
I mean, I didn't notice that Crosshair. You know, that's suspicious to me too. So I hear you.
Yeah. Plus, like, those chemical burns from that ion engine, man. Like, maybe just messed with his head, you know?
Yeah, I mean, don't inhale ion fumes, kids.
Yeah, it's terrible. So.
So why don't you take us out to sea, Christian? You're usually better at that than I.
Sounds good. Where can everybody find you, Mike?
Find me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. If you want to follow the show on Twitter at Jedi Knights JC, as well as here, if you want the video version of the show, youtube.com/joyclicks. You can check it out in the Jedi Knights playlist alongside all of our other podcasts, Excelsior, Gamescast, Long Play Club, whatever you want to see on the channel. If you want to follow me on anything, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at ShuntyD2. We'll get that solo rewatch campaign going. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah.
The audio version of the show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your service of choice. If you want to check out the little lightsaber thing, I'll put Star Wars in the title this week and see if that happens again. It's a cool.
Hopefully, yeah.
For sure. And if you can rate a review on your service, it would be appreciated because it helps us out a ton and reaches more people. And if you want to get involved further, Patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. $5 tier gives you producer credit on this show and every show, like Chris Sakas, Aaron Easton, and Charles Applin. So thank you very much. And that is going to do it for this week with Star Wars. Mike, thank you. You did a wonderful job as always. Pleasure doing the show with you.
Thank you.
So,
always a pleasure, Christian.
Hell yeah. Until next week, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
Oh, yes, you're right. Beep is up.